Hello, I'm Joey.
And I'm Alex.
And we're here to review Star Trek Super Skill Pinball.
That's right.
So this one right here, I love pinball. I love Star Trek. And we love roll and rights.
I love roll and rights.
So pretty much this game guaranteed to be a hit. Is it?
Let's see what we think.
All right, let's take a look at how it's played first. Okay, here is how to play Star Trek Super Skill Pinball. I've got the Starfleet Academy board here, so we're going to go through this. You've got two boards. This is the table of the pinball machine, and over here is the scoreboard. Right up here is where you're going to keep your score, mark the stars, and all this. This right here is nudge. We're going to go through what that is in a second. So first off, your pinball, which these are pretty cool. They're like half pinballs. See, look at that. And you're going to drop it right here on the start area. So I'm going to roll my die. So like any roll and right, you're going to be able to pick one of these values. The whole thing is you have to go below where your ball is dropping because constantly your ball is going to start to drop. So first I can go to this area right here. So there's a 2. I'm going to go ahead, and because both of these are together, I'm going to mark off that. So I'm going to move my pinball here, and I've just hit that area. Now I'm going to roll again, and I've got a 1 and a 4. Now because I constantly drop, I'm going to go to the next section. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to go ahead and hit this bumper right here. I'm going to mark off the 1, just like that, and put this on top. Now notice this gives me a star, it says right here. I'm going to go over here and mark that star. So I've got that point. Now I'm going to roll again. Again, like I said, you drop below. There are several exceptions in this game of pinball. These are bumpers. Notice the arrows going over, down, over, like makes a circle. So if I can go over here if a 3 or a 4 rolls. So let's try that. There we go, and it is not. It is a 6. So I cannot hit this because that's going the opposite direction. So I've got no choice but to roll and fall down here. Now I am going to go ahead, and there's a 6 on this area. I'm going to mark that off, and notice right here, it gives me another star. I'm going to go up here and mark that off. So now I'm going to roll again. A 2 and a 2. So I look down the next area. What I could do is I could go, really my choices are limited here at the 2. I could go over here to the yellow flipper, or I could go here. That would get me 2 stars for going down this alley. And that is what I'm going to do. Cross here, drop down. Now I'm on the red flipper. Comes around. Now when you're on a flipper, they're red and yellow. When I flip, I can go up. Since I'm on the red flipper, I can hit any of the white die or the red areas. So I could hit anywhere here, here, or any of these right here. All right, so let's try this again. All right, a 2 and a 3. So I can't hit this. This is a 1. This starts in the row. I could jump over here and hit a 2. Now, I'm going to do what is called a nudge. Now, a nudge is kind of when you bump the table. So say I really want to hit this area right here, a 1. I am going to nudge this 2 into a 1. So I mark my nudge. I only get 3 nudges per game. And the difference, how much am I nudging it? I'm nudging it from a 2 down to a 1. So I'm going to nudge 1. All right? So my ball goes up and hits this area right here. Here's where a nudge gets dangerous. This is only a 1. So I have to roll this. If the difference between these two is equal to or greater than my number here, then I'm going to tilt and I lose that ball. But so pretty much with a 1, it has to be doubles. So let's try what I got. There we go. So I'm safe. So I can mark this off. It only happens on that one. I still can only nudge 2 more times, but I now have a 2 or a 5. So I'm going to drop that back down, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this area right here, and this has given me another star. So a couple more things in this game to realize. These are sets, so if I ever got to this point right here, where I crossed all of these off, that would be a set, because it's a straight line around those. So then I get a skill shot. Right here, and erase all of these, and I'm ready. Same with these. If I ever get all 4 of these, I get to choose one of these abilities and erase them, erase the set. This is an infinite. You can choose as many times as you want to. The rest you can choose once. Multi-ball pretty much is just taking another ball, placing it here, and now you're playing 2 balls at the same time, and it also gets you 2 extra points. This is filled 2 of the next parts here, and the flipper pass, you can use any color flipper this round. So all of these are little bonuses you can get. And once you fill out an entire set, you're going to erase it like I said. A couple of the exceptions are, these are double black. So these can only be used once per game, and these are dashed. So these are going to be reset after you lose the ball. So say I've got all of these marked off, just like this. And now I'm here, and I roll another 2. I come down, there's nowhere for me to go, so my ball just goes through, and I lose the ball. And that is round 1. And I get 3 balls, place it right back here at the top. That multi-ball should not be there. And you go again. And the only thing you reset is this area right there. So that is pretty much, in a nutshell, how you play Super Skill Pinball Star Trek Edition. Also, with this game, you do get a couple of other boards. On the back of this board is a Trouble with Tribbles. And then you also get a Borg Attack board, and then you get a Star Trek Lower Decks. Each of these have a scoreboard on it as well. And in the instructions, every board acts a little bit different. So you're going to have instructions on how each board works. This goes into Starfleet Academy. This one goes into Trouble with Tribbles. Each one has a little bit different scoring mechanisms and the awards like normal pinball machines do. So you've got this, and also on the back of the instruction booklet, there's a score tracker sheet and also some achievements. So you can go through solo and try different boards and try to achieve different things. So that is it for Star Trek Super Skill Pinball. Let's take it back and see what we thought of the game. Okay, so that is how you play Star Trek Super Skill Pinball.
That's it.
All right.
It's very much like a roll and write.
It is. It's a roll. I mean, you actually roll in this one.
That helps to, make it a roll and write, right?
So, initial thoughts on the components.
Oh, the components. I think the cards are a nice weight. They're not super flimsy. I think they're perfect. I like the dice. I like the little beads. My biggest complaint about that is that when you're moving the bead from spot to spot as you do your turns, it does erase the marks. So you do have to kind of go back over that. That is my only kind of thing. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a little frustration.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier too, because like when you move the pinball around the board, which you do,
which you have to,
you're going to smudge, and a lot of the X's are so close to each other that when you do that smudge, you're like, was this X on this area or this area? And it just becomes muddied.
It does. It's something you have to keep track of as you make that smudge, like, okay, hang on, I've got to fix that now before I go on, because it does get confusing when you have these streaks on your paper, or not on your paper, but on your board. So it does make it a little tricky. That would be my only thing. I can't think of a way that you could fix it. So it's sort of one of those things you just have to kind of bear with.
No, because it's also very difficult to pick that little thing up.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, if you're using like a solid table and you don't have one of those player mats, it's way harder, because you have to kind of like stick it on its side and then scoop it up. When it's on the player mat, you got that sponginess that helps you pick it up a lot better. But when you're playing on like a solid surface, it's a lot trickier.
I even thought, do they put like a small ring on the top so you can pick it up and then move it? But then that defeats the whole look of that pinball.
That's exactly it too.
So I don't really know how to fix it.
No, that's the thing too. I know that the pinball does make a streak, but it's so thematic it works. So you just gotta, like I said, you've just gotta bear with it.
Yeah, but just know that try to do it lightly if you do rub across an X, because it will smudge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had to kind of shift mine to the side a little bit to kind of make it work, and just remember that was connected to the one to the side. That way that it didn't streak.
And that makes sense. So now, okay, initially when we played this, we played the first table, the beginner table, the one they recommend.
Yeah.
And honestly, we got bored.
Oh, I was like, this game is
terrible.
Like we tried to play the 3 rounds. We tried to play it with the 2 of us. Then we tried to play it with 4 people to see if it was just us. And we would get through round 1 and everyone would be like, okay, we've played that game. And I was like, oh my goodness, what happened?
I even called some friends that had played it. I'm like, am I missing something?
Yes.
It just seemed tedious.
Yeah, there was no cascading. One thing that makes a good roll and write is the cascading effect. There was nothing. It was very just repetitive, and I was like, oh.
So we were like, I don't know if I want to play the next one. But that would have been a huge mistake.
I am so glad we pursued this game further.
So
changed my opinion completely.
That Trouble with Tribbles,
yeah.
that was a blast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because in that one, and it's completely different. I mean, you have the basics. Every single table plays basically the same, but they all have different areas that they do different things. This one had a tribble marks up there as you get tribbles, and you want tribbles to a certain point because they allow you to get more points. But then if you get too many tribbles, you start getting negative points, start losing X's, and it's so fun to try to balance those tribbles. And then you can activate the transporter. So you can transport your tribbles off of your ship onto other players' ships. Yeah. And it's just like, I would look over and see Alex is like, oh man, I'm about to send her 6 tribbles. And it's so funny to have these tribbles just everywhere and another double rolls. And you're like, I can't fit any more tribbles on here.
Yeah.
And it's just, then multi-ball, you're hoping it doesn't hit the tribbles.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, it was lot. Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you liked that table, right?
Oh, I love that table. I loved the cascading because it made it all click and it worked perfectly. And I was like, good, this is what it needs to do. It was amazing. I loved it. It was the perfect roll and write.
That was, so the biggest thing in the first game, I would not recommend playing through an entire first game of the first table, because I would get bored.
Yeah.
Because it just is so monotonous. So I'd say to learn it, do a round.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then lose the ball and everybody jump to a real table.
Absolute. I think that is the way to play this game. Do the first scenario just to get to know the rules and then move on so you can get that cascading and you can actually enjoy this roll and write. It's perfect. Amazing. It was so much fun. And I liked also the trebles. You had that player interaction when you went to the transporter. So you did have, your, like when you go to the transporter, you can get rid of your trebles and send them to the other place. So there is that player interaction that sometimes people in roll and writes are critical about.
Right.
This does have that. Perfect.
The one thing to remember though, when you play the first ball, you're going to feel like, because the first ball will go on forever.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel like this is going to be a very, very long game.
Yeah.
But what you forget is in between balls, you don't erase everything.
No.
So later, because at first you're going to be hitting everything on the way down.
Yeah.
But then a lot of those X's are going to be already marked off. So your second or third ball might only hit 3 or 4 things. And if it doesn't complete a set, you're just going to lose the ball.
Yeah.
So that first ball is going to go for a while.
Yeah.
And then the second and third might actually just a little bit, and then you're like, I lost it. And it's so frustrating when you lose a ball.
It is. It's like playing a real game of pinball. Your heart does sink every time you lose that ball. One thing I was going to love too is I love the nudge too. That mechanic is really good. I think that really helps too. I think so. The nudge here is when you need to get a 4, but they've rolled a 3. You can nudge it by 1 and take the chance that the next one will have a larger difference, so you don't lose points and stuff like that. Perfect. I love the nudge. Was great, and I think it just helped make that little bit of like tension that as you're playing it.
Yeah, and you use your nudge a lot better. You only get 3 nudges for the whole game.
Yes, you do.
I had a tendency of using all 3 nudges in the first ball.
Yeah.
And then later I was just done. So that was a big problem. And
there is strategy on when to use your nudges there because you can't use them all that first ball. You have to save. You want to, but you do have to sometimes save it for those later rounds, because as you said, in the later rounds you still have things marked off from earlier rounds. So that's when you really need it.
Yeah, you don't get too eager.
No.
And the only other thing is you get so involved in your table that you don't go back to the scoring glass, and then you forget to score those stars. So you have to make sure you take your time on it, and make sure you keep scoring those points. Because a
Absolutely.
lot of times they can get ×3, ×2, and scoring that becomes a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
So all that being said, this is a great game.
This is a really fun game. Yeah.
And I mean, we laughed a lot during, especially the Tribbles and the rest of the tables.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? It saved itself.
It did. It saved itself. I'm so glad we persevered, because at first I was like, oof, I dread playing this. But like I said, the first map, use it as a way to learn the rules. Move on to those other ones, because those are where the fun is.
Exactly. Yep. So what would you rank it?
I would rank it an 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Well, that is exactly what I'm ranking
No
it to.
way.
And it's so funny. It's one that after the first initial play, I don't even want to say the number I was going to give it.
either.
I was just,
That would be a secret.
I felt like I was doing homework. It was just brutal. But it is just a learning thing. So once you go to those other tables, it is a lot of fun to sit around and throw Tribbles at each other.
It is. So I had so much fun. I love roll and rides. Keeps my love for roll and rides right there.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep. So I say pick it up and
Absolutely.
go through the Tribble to learn it. See what I did?
I love it. That
With
was
the
smooth.
Tribble?
Yeah.
It
That was good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.